the theme park capital of the world, bringing you the latest in theme park news. Welcome to the ThrillGeek Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ThrillGeek Podcast. I'm Clint.
I'm Barry.
And I'm Janine.
And on this episode, we are going to be diving into not one, not two, not three, 6. Well, Janine's back this week, so I mean, we're gonna kind of get her thoughts on the one we talked about last week, Halloween Horror Nights announcements. So yeah, we were just discussing before we started recording here. I don't think we've ever talked about 6 house announcements.
No.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about 6 HHN announcements in one live stream podcast episode. So we're gonna do that a little bit later on. Before that, we got a few little quick hits that we're going to get through. So it's been an absolutely bizarre announcement season for Horror Nights. And maybe we could talk about that a little bit later, but it's been bizarre. So I wanted to kick off really quick. I took the kiddos out to, let me get our slideshow going here for those of you watching the video version. Me and the kiddos, actually just two out of my 3 kids, Disney invited us out to the H2O Glow After Hours at Typhoon Lagoon. So thank you to Disney for inviting us out to check that out. This was the first night. It was Saturday night. We went out there, hung out. They let us try some of the food. They had this. It was a waffle cone chicken bacon thing. Oh my God! It
Sounds
was amazing.
delightful.
Yeah, it was like a waffle cone with chicken tenders in it and bacon, and I was like, stop right. And it had some kind of, it wasn't coleslaw, but it had some kind of slaw on it. But they didn't have all the food for us to try. They had the food out there, the new food for us to take pictures of. They unveiled a new thing coming to Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. For those of you that follow ThrillGeek on Twitter, they gave all the media outlets that were there these coins, and they were like, oh, we'll talk about it later. And so they finally went over what it is, and I guess they're going to start selling these collectible coins inside Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, and you're going to be able to collect. They were kind of vague on the details. I guess you're going to be able to go around and collect and purchase these collectible medallions. And they gave us, I don't know if this is the one that we got is going to be the one, but it had Typhoon Lagoon on one side and Blizzard Beach on the other side. And so that was a cool little exclusive thing that they gave the media outlets there. And then, Florida weather, literally one storm right when we got there at 6 o'clock because H2O Glow After Hours kicked off at 7. From 6 to 7 was kind of the pre-dinner thing where they had some of the food for us and whatnot. Literally on the radar, there is one storm, and it is right over Typhoon Lagoon.
Oh.
So I felt so bad for like all the catering people and everything. They were trying to run everything under this this overhang thing, and it was literally one of those instances where that one storm is over where you are, and I'm sure we've all been there living in
Florida at its finest.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean that's always been the one like roll of the dice when you do H2O Glow is like, is there going to be a storm?
Afternoon thunderstorm. So luckily, it blew over right on time, and at like 6:50, they let us kind of go and with the wristbands and stuff, and the kids had fun, the low crowds. And I think this is, out of all the after hours events, you got the ones at the theme parks, Epcot and everything. The reason why I love the one at Typhoon Lagoon is because how often do you get to ride water slides at night?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the coolest things to do. So I highly recommend doing the H2. If you're thinking about doing, if you're thinking about doing one of these after hours events, strongly consider the Typhoon Lagoon one, because I mean, some of these water slides don't have any lights on them. You're riding in like pitch black. And for that reason, I think this is one of my favorite after hours events. So I didn't want to kind of ramble on forever. I just wanted to kind of quickly talk about the H2O Glow After Hours. I got some photos up on Twitter. I bought the 360 camera, which I haven't gone through the footage yet. And I filmed on some of the water slides, and I'm curious to see how that came out. So maybe I'll throw up some reels or something. Yeah, it was fun. Again, thanks to Disney for inviting us out to check that out. Always appreciate it, as always. Moving on over to Universal, we wanted to give a quick shout out to Islands of Adventure celebrating 25 years. So happy birthday, Islands of Adventure. Happy belated birthday, we should say. Yeah, I remember Barry. I remember when Barry and I did, back when we were doing the podcast, we did a, remember Barry, we did a 20th anniversary episode.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
I completely forgot about that. So it's been 5 years since that, and 25 years Islands of Adventure has been open. So
I mean, I definitely feel like, I was there recently and just walking around. It's just how much the park has changed over 25 years and how much it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But also, as much as we love that park right now, there's a lot of wasted space in that park right now.
Yeah.
There's 3 gigantic wasted spaces
Yeah.
in that park right now, and it's amazing. Hopefully, I mean, we know the studios is obviously going to get some stuff post Epic, but I really hope they finally get to work on doing something with those dead spaces in islands once Epic opens, because it's shockingly, as amazing as the park is now, there's still room for improvement. As much as I love that place.
I know, like walking through Lost Continent, and no surprise that Clint and I are huge Dragons fans, but still seeing like the way that kind of melds into the rest of the park doesn't fully make sense anymore, with Poseidon's being gone and with Dragons being gone. And it's still fun and beautifully themed, and it's one of the best places to just walk around. But you're right, Barry. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity that could come to the park. And it's still one of my favorite places to get my steps in.
I think that's the consensus with a lot of people. It's still 25 years later. It's still a lot of people's favorite theme park, even with the, as Barry was saying, the areas where they can improve. Some of these areas like
the Toon Lagoon Amphitheater. That's basically used for cheerleading competitions in that pit.
Yeah, the day that thing goes and is replaced with something,
an attraction or something.
I will be. I would be okay with a show there. Some kind of stage show
something.
Or something. Just want a quick wish Islands of Adventure a happy 25th. So here's to 25 more. We'll see what IOA looks like in another 25 years. I can only imagine. Moving on, you guys actually, I haven't been able to get out to Universal to check out the new tribute store, but both of you guys got out to check it out. So Janine, what did you think about the new tribute store besides our whats?
Well, yeah, besides our whats, which I squealed at. I think it's really awesome. I'm a big fan of all the Universal nostalgia movies. Like, that's no surprise. And being able to go into the final room, spoilers for those who haven't been in it, and see the 4 large set pieces across the ceiling, especially the Ghostbusters one for me, was just
I have a picture here.
So awesome. Yeah. So there's E.T. and Back to the Future, and the merch that they have in the store. I'm going to be spending way too much money on Spirit jerseys and other shirts and things for my little. Just a really good sense of nostalgia. And it really feels like something that'll be nice leaning into the summer and leaning into the new parade and with everything else that's coming. But yeah, I mean, I seriously, walking into the room where the Dragon store, which is basically set up as an arcade, the full blown 80s vibes that are in there, and just like it brought me back to An Arcade from HHN, and that will give me the warm fuzzies every day. I really enjoyed it. I'm planning on going and walking through a couple more times, obviously, to make purchases and to just really soak in all of the details. But there are a lot of tiny details and tiny Easter eggs. And so they did a really solid bit of fan service in this tribute store.
Yeah. Barry?
I absolutely loved it. And I'm glad they are continuing the reverse setup. It flows much better.
Yeah.
That way. The video store, they did their research. As the one who's the oldest on here, I remember some of the independent video stores, and they nailed it. Like in a way, I'm so impressed. Even including the made up the videotape mascot, with the rewind. Please
be kind. Rewind.
Rewind. Yeah. I mean, just down to creating the fake movie shelves.
Yeah.
With the
boxes on it, the VHS
with the boxes on it, a lot of Universal movies, but then some of the stuff from Slaughter Cinema is in there. The arcade that brought back memories too, and then of course the final room was impressive, and with the old school style photo ops. It wasn't shocking to me, but the ET plush hat being the most popular, like just seeing one person after another go through the checkout while I was in there with one of those hats.
That was one of the first pieces of merchandise that kind of
sold
blew
out
up online. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such a good gag.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I have two of my friends I was there with that day. They immediately bought that. But no, they keep knocking these tribute stores out of the park. And this is, I love the summer tribute stores because it's all about nostalgia. Each year, it's impressive. They did a great job, and even the final room, like I said, the way it's set up is very reminiscent of something from that era. Kudos to I know we know some of the people who were involved. Kudos to all of them because they did an absolutely amazing job.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out there and check it out myself. But I've been kind of tied down with two of the kiddos this week as the wife has been out of state. So I will get over there as soon as I can to check it out and take it all in and maybe shoot. I really want to shoot a video for our YouTube channel, kind of going through and finding some more. I love Easter eggs. That's the one great thing about these tribute stores is the amount of Easter eggs are always astronomical, and you could walk through these tribute stores 2, 3, 4, 5 times and you see an Easter egg. For those of us that are hardcore theme park nerds, they throw in HHN Easter eggs, as Barry was saying, with Slaughter Cinema, and just so many cool little Easter eggs. I saw somebody posted a Bill and Ted one, Wild Stallion. So yeah, no, I can't wait to get out there and check it out. So Universal announced actually today, and I figured we could throw this in here, that they finally officially announced the Epic Universe Preview Center. I was going to say, I'm on the tribute store brain. A Universal Epic Universe Preview Center will be opening up at CityWalk. It'll feature all new interactive experiences that'll allow guests to get up close look at Epic Universe. And apparently it'll have, I'm guessing, that model that was at the beginning of the announcement video with Mark Woodbury, that giant, I'm guessing that's going to be in there.
I'm assuming it'd be the same.
I hope so.
Either that or like a replica of it, if not the actual one. It says, through a massive model offering a bird's eye view of the entire park, the preview center will highlight many of the awe-inspiring attractions and experiences of Epic Universe. You'll be able to see exciting elements of the model come to life via augmented reality on compatible mobile devices. Shop a variety of brand new collections of Epic Universe merchandise. Universal just going to take more of our money. And then it says, pose for pictures with unique backgrounds themed to each of the park's 5 worlds. So I'm very excited about this. Can't wait to check that out. Yeah, it'll be where the Universal, what was the name of that store?
Legacy Store.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're in the process of installing a giant LED screen on the outside of the building right now.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen the last time I walked through it, the inside looks pretty finished. You could see you can't see much. You could see all the lighting's been installed. So it's like
sweet.
We're down
Very
to the
cool.
finishing touches and obviously installing that giant LED screen on the outside.
I'm guessing
on top of all that, a bunch of construction at CityWalk now, and where Quiet Flight and Cinnabon is, that has
totally
been
gutted.
Totally gutted.
Yeah, you can see when you're up there on the second story, you can look right down into where Quiet Flight and Cinnabon used to be.
So they're moving
gutted.
at warp speed.
So, but anyways, just wanted to quick mention that the preview center for Epic Universe finally officially announced by Universal. So I cannot wait to get out there and experience that and check it out. So let's move on to the bread and butter here. We earlier at the start of this recording, we got 6 announcements pretty much within the last week and a half, 2 weeks for Halloween Horror Nights. And we're going to kind of go through them at a somewhat brisk pace. Not a whole lot to go off of. But since Janine wasn't here for the last recording where Barry and I went over Slaughter Cinema 2, I kind of wanted to get her thoughts about it, if she was excited about it, just kind of give her the floor for a minute here to talk about Slaughter Cinema 2 before we dive into the other 5 original houses or 5 originals that we got.
First, just the fact that we had that announcement and then we had a week of announcements, I think for all of us was just one of the best weeks ever. Yeah. Just really feels like spooky season's upon us. I know the next piece will definitely be when they actually release, the IPs and the frequent fear passes and all of that jazz. But when seeing Slaughter Cinema 2 come up as the first one that they announced was definitely exciting. I love the original. I think it's just one of those houses. It's one of the originals. It's always going to have that type of cult following because of all of the really neat and intricate storylines and characters that came from it. And, you know, since then we've seen, you know, the Swamp Yeti, and we've seen like other like little hints and instances of it in so many other houses and so many other things around Universal that I'm hoping that this one does the same. And it has the same type of appeal, the same type of very quick going through each of the scenes, and that they're all really unique and innovative and just leave you screaming and laughing at the same time. But this was definitely one that I was like, when I saw it come through, I was like, this is one of the originals I definitely know I'll be the most excited about going through. But it's gonna have some hefty expectations to live up to the first one. Yeah, the original was an absolute quality house from start to finish. So basically my 2 cents. But I mean, the first house gave us the Swamp Yeti, which is seriously one of my favorite things from HHN in the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm stoked. I can't wait to go through it. I know we're around like 90 something days, and it's like the countdown, like just keep going.
Yep. We just broke, because I posted on the ThrillGeek Twitter that when we were in the double digits, 99 days.
Yeah, we're under 100.
So we're getting there. It was. I don't think Barry and I discussed this when we were talking about Slaughter Cinema 2. There were a lot of people discussing the timing of this, because there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is too early for a sequel house. This is too early." You know, usually I guess it's longer. Some people's minds to have a longer time between the original house and its sequel house. So
I feel like we were, by the end of that year, we were already talking about
a sequel
house for this.
For Slaughter Cinema.
You know,
yeah.
There's so many because I mean, even if I remember correctly, like during, I want to say Charles, because it's a Charles Gray house. They mentioned things like all the stuff that didn't make it into the house, you know. So it's like this was inevitable, as popular as that house was. It makes the sense because it's a series of vignettes. The entire house is a series of vignettes from each movie. So many different fun ideas for it. And like I said, I'll be interested to say the first house had more of a 70s feel to it with the movies in there. I'll be interested. This one has more of an 80s feel to it. We'll see.
I'll tell you what, after I went to Not Scary Farm last year and they had Cinema Slasher, Slaughter Cinema has some big shoes to fill, because that house was phenomenal. And it was the same vibe. You were going into horror movies and experiencing scenes from them. But that house, every time you went into a different movie, you were walking into the movie screen.
Yeah.
Like there was a giant slash in the middle of the movie screen. It was phenomenal. I was so blown away by that house. I would be okay with them copying that idea of the whole, like, you're walking into the movie screen. It was so cool. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to quick let Janine have a few minutes to talk about Slaughter Cinema 2. We are going to be moving on now. I got these in order as they were announced.
Moving on.
Next is Goblin Feast. This original house, the next one that was announced on the list, and it says, "Welcome to the Goblin's Feast Tavern and visit Goblin Village, where a lavish feast is being prepared for goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches, and you're the main course."
So you'll die at the end of this house.
You are becoming part of the feast.
You get put in the vat.
Janine, any thoughts on Goblin's Feast? Initial reactions? What did you think?
When this initially came out, I actually was very excited about it because it won, which I know we've talked about, just the way that the appearance of the font and the logo, like all the iconography, kind of feels a little bit like Wicked Growth. Mm-hmm. So hoping for that. But I used to be a furious Horde World of Warcraft player back in the day.
There were a lot of people saying getting like WoW vibes. Obviously goblins, orcs, hobgoblins.
It's giving me straight up WoW vibes of, I'm thinking about a couple of the different villages that would be like your main base points of like just them all eating around a fire, like, and being like kind of in like an underground layer. Of the originals, this is probably one of the ones that I am more excited for, because I think they do a really good job with these type of houses and these type of like scenes, very Halloween-esque scenes. So
I'm all for like a fantasy set house. You know? like you said, World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings, that this type of house. Yeah, like I said, I'm imagining either a woods or village or something that you're going through. We know how good they've gotten at building like sort of towns and villages the last few years. I'm excited for this. I like anything that's off the beaten track. That's not what we consider normal horror. I love and I love when they go for something like that, and I am excited. I think this is going to be fun, and probably a lot of masks in this house, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
a lot of prosthetics,
a lot of prosthetics, masks, that sort of thing. No, I was excited for it. I like Janine pretty much nailed it. What I was going to say about that kind of Halloween kind of goblin spooky vibe to it. I definitely got that when it was announced. So I'm excited. Goblin's Feast. Moving on, we got a Scare Zone sequel house.
Prequel.
Prequel. Scare Zone prequel house.
Prequel sequel. Yeah.
Prequel sequel house. Yeah. Major Sweets Candy Factory. It says you've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory. The deadly delicious treats turn the kids into sugar-fueled fiends. So we're getting a prequel sequel house to the
God, where are we going?
It was Sweet Revenge.
Sweet Revenge, yeah.
Yeah. It was cute. I mean, big parade floats, massive parade floats. Yeah.
I mean, we're basically getting the setup for what happened that Halloween night.
Yeah.
What him and Miss Treats, I'm assuming, has done to the candy, and I guess these kids are the first test subjects. That's the vibe I'm getting. And there's so many things you could do with a candy factory setting, just a very dark, demented, twisted Willy Wonka type thing. Vibes. I may not be the most excited for this house, but I'm as with all the original stuff, I love to see what they come up with and
where they go.
And once again, more lore. Let's continue. This is now with Street and House, and then this is now another part of HHN lore.
Yep.
So it's we're all for that type of house. Anything lore, we're
expand on it. And
we nerd out on it.
I mean, frankly, kids are scary.
Yeah.
Like kids are terrifying without sugar and without whatever is going to be happening here. So,
Janine, I was going to kind of give you a minute. Anything you want to say about Major Sweets Candy Factory?
I mean, Barry pretty much covered it. Like the first time this popped up, like when this popped up back in the day with Sweet Revenge, it very much felt like Willy Wonka vibes. This is basically going to be even heavier. I mean, I'm hoping we see a little bit of like the steampunk essence in here somehow too, just with like the way that the scenic would be built. But I mean, I think it'll be pretty neat. It isn't one of the ones that I would say is like high on my list right now. And we know how that changes so radically throughout the seasons.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how they really tie everything in that we saw on the street into the house.
The Scare Zone last year, the Sweet Revenge Scare Zone, I was kind of up and down with it throughout the year. I loved it at first when I saw that they literally built like parade floats for a Scare Zone. I was completely blown away by that. And then I saw the Scare Zone in action, and it didn't do too much for me. But towards the end of the event, the Scare Zone really grew on me, and I began to think, I was like, man, there's definitely, like Barry was saying about the lore, I think there's definitely something here where they could either go with a prequel, and because they don't show you what happened, how did these kids get like this, how did this get like this? So I'm excited to check it out. And like Barry also said, with the originals, it's always great to see what they come up with and how they're going to pull it off. So moving on, the museum deadly exhibits. It says you decide to visit the new folklore museum exhibit, the Rotting Stone, when an evil escapes from within, destroying everything in its path. This one I was very curious about. This is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Different house, I guess. The whole museum thing really kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to think of this house. Janine, what did you think?
I feel like this one could be really eerie and really, I mean, I don't know why. I keep going back to thinking about the Last of Us scene and basically like the one museum area, if I'm remembering correctly, like of just how you can make a museum feel so dark and eerie and creepy with things basically encased in glass, and like what types of scares are they going to do based off of that?
Yeah.
So that's really where my brain went to. And the rotting stone, it kind of took me back also to like Seeds of Extinction a little bit of like, what is this kind of thing going to be? It's I don't think we've ever seen anything that's going to be quite like this. I'm curious what the deadly exhibits are, if they're going to do more of being like supernatural or if it's going to be more of like natural kind of weird looking creatures. But
yeah. I think that's kind of where I was confused too with the exhibits. Like, where are they going to go with it? Is it going to be more of like a, the things like Night at the Museum, things coming alive in the museum?
I obviously didn't come up with. Someone posted on social media. Does this tie into Boris Schuster and Legendary Truth? Because someone posted a picture. There was an incident at a museum.
Are you talking about one of the books or something?
Yeah.
In the house? Yeah, I saw
that.
Yeah,
there was an incident. Yeah. There's something about it, something that happened at a museum. And, we've also, this other, like in the teaser, the otherworldly creature that you see in the reflection on the ground, that's what Boris Schuster deals with, is these creatures, often creatures from hell.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So it's could this be another house that ties into that lore as being one of those incidents?
Interesting.
That he's chronicled.
The museum deadly exhibits. I think this one's kind of right in the middle for me. I'm very curious. The creepy vibe is what's really drawing me. Like Janine was saying, this gives off a very, I don't know, I'm getting a very creepy vibe, not like an oh my god terrifying scary house. And I like creepy. If this house definitely gives off that creepy museum, haunted museum type vibe, I'm all for it. So I'll be sold on it. So moving on.
Yay.
The monsters of Latin America. I am not going to attempt the names of these monsters because my Spanish is...
Even I couldn't.
They are, yeah.
Lechuza and Sibon, but for the first one, I'm like...
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, like, whoa! I don't even want to try to butcher.
I did a really cool article on ThrillGeek.com if you want to learn about the lore of these monsters that we can't pronounce the names of. Go check that out. The description has their names in it. It says, with La Muerta as your guide, you'll be begging for Pie Dad from these three terrifying legends. And this is this first one. Let me look here. I'm gonna attempt it. You ready? La Hula Pucci. And
they are shape-shifting female vampires.
Yeah. And
the vampire witches of Central Mexico.
And El Silbón, which is kind of an easy one. But yeah, I got the idea from the article because I had no idea what these monsters were. Like, I didn't know anything about it. And this was a house last year from Hollywood. So we are getting it over here this year. So Janine, what did you think about this house? About, getting some El Chupacabra-esque monsters again from Latin America?
I mean, I definitely have watched the walkthrough of the one in Hollywood innumerable times just because the sheer size of some of the animatronics or puppetry is dauntingly large. Which I'm really excited for. And the walkthroughs, you obviously from a video can't get 100% of the vibes, but like the walkthroughs were really dark, were really close in certain areas, really close quarters and really creepy. So I think it's really interesting and it's really awesome that we're bringing in this type of lore and this type of legendary pieces from other cultures into HHS, just like we did the Chupacabras. I think it'll be really neat. But yeah, I need to go and actually read the article to get a little more details on each of them because I know a little bit, but not enough, and I want to feel prepared.
They're really interesting. These three types of monsters, the lore that they're based on, and the background of them is really interesting stuff. So I highly recommend.
La Lechuza is a 7-foot owl with a woman's face that preys on children and drunks in the Rio Grande Valley in northern Mexico.
So they'll have plenty of victims at Halloween Horror Nights if she feeds on
drunks. And then El Sabon, the Whistler, is a legendary figure from Colombia and Venezuela, usually described as a lost soul.
That one was the one that sounded the most interesting to me.
Yeah.
The backstory of that one. I have an article up on ThrillGeek.com if you want to check it out. You want to kind of dig into the history of these monsters from Latin America.
Go ahead.
I'm
excited for this. I mean, it's Hollywood for years is for obvious reasons has had a lot of Latin Hispanic based legend type houses. It wasn't until the Chupacabra house I feel like that we finally got something more authentic To the point that there's most of the triggers in the house were in Spanish. And I think more of this because we have a Hispanic population is a huge chunk of the country now, and it's a huge chunk of this area. Yeah. And even though this sticks to Latin America, basically Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela. I'm all for more exploring these more type of things, these types of monsters, because there is so many different legends, especially in that part of the world of like type of monsters and stuff, and gives something new that we haven't really seen before. So
I'm a huge fan of different regions have all these different creatures, legends and myths, and all these mythological creatures from different not even just Latin America, around the world. I would love to see every year them going to a different part of the world and exploring these different types of mythological creatures that these areas come up with.
And with the Chupacabra house, they really showed that they can do this type of house now. They did their research, and there's members, and there's also a bunch of members of the creative team is a lot more diverse now. So it's like they show what Chupacabra, they can get this type of house right. And this is definitely one of my more like hyped houses I feel for this this year.
I would agree. I think this one's up there for me as far as hype, because like Janine was talking about with the Hollywood, go watch, I don't mind spoilers.
The Hollywood one,
the Hollywood one. When this was announced here,
wild.
There were a lot of people that did the Hollywood one last year, and they were like, okay, if Hollywood can, because Hollywood has a reputation of some of the houses being hit or miss. Yeah, it's Hollywood. So if Hollywood can pull this house off and do it correctly, what can Orlando do with this house? And that's what has me excited about it, is that they're going to get, they're going to be able to do a lot more versus what Hollywood did with it. So I am beyond excited for this house. Last but not least, and probably the one that had everybody kind of up in arms, is Triplets of Terror. It says, you're invited to Barmy's Triplets Birthday Bash, but beware, they celebrate by recreating their family's murders. Prepare for a gory gathering. What did you guys think about this Triplets of Terror house? This was kind of out of left field. I don't think anybody was expecting this.
So when it first came up, I was getting off of a call and the notification popped up because it was at like 10:33.
Yeah.
And my first reaction was, what the F? Literally verbally said that out loud, because the first thing that I saw was the paper plate face guy. That's all I looked at. But then I started thinking about it more, and I was like, I love a really good gore house. I don't think we've gotten a lot of super solid, like slashery gore houses lately. And it's giving me Texas Chainsaw vibes in the best way. And I think, I don't know, like the more that I thought about it, the more I'm like, this is probably going to end up, I'm going to just be like, it's going to be nothing. And it's going to end up being one of my favorites for the year.
It's going to end up being one of your favorites.
So ridiculous. Yeah.
I think it's one of those ones where it's so ridiculous, it's going to be fantastic.
No, I mean, it's a straight up regular horror house.
Yeah.
Horror film house.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, we haven't gotten a lot of that lately when it comes to originals. Because I mean, they have the IPs, and there's a lot of years there is a slasher in the IPs, and so kudos to them for sort of coming up with their own sort of straight up horror, more than likely gore house. Am I hyped for this? No, not really. But I'm those of you who know me, I'm more of a high concept house person. But who knows? This, like I said, it could be a sleeper. We never know. Yeah. Did we? I mean, outside of maybe me last year, did not expect the Darkest Steel to be
one of the better houses,
one of the best houses. And I was like, all before the event last year, I was like, they're doing one of the most famous musical stories of all time.
Yeah.
Selling your soul to the devil.
I remember when we were doing the live streams on that house, we were like, where are they going to go with this Darkest Steel house? And it was really,
and they nailed it. So
I mean,
the storytelling in that house was phenomenal.
That one was like one of the lower ones of where I was excited about it, and ended up shooting up. Like going through that house, I distinctively remember people that I was with being like, all right, that was the best. holy crap. So
I mean, going to that house during daylight was
You're blinded.
That
by
was
the sun.
blinded.
I think that house was one of the ones where I actually got multiple times
yeah.
that year, because
So did
going
I.
through that house during once you got to the where you were going through that one scare actor in the riverbed nailed me like the worst in years anybody had scared me.
The dang trumpet guy got me.
Yeah,
I
so
remember the
it's
trumpet
that this could be the sleeper house. Who knows? I feel like it's been a while since we've had an original sort of slasher house, like straight up sort of 1970s, like you said, Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah.
that type of vibe.
There were a lot of people saying House of a Thousand Corpses too.
Yeah,
House of a Thousand Corpses, Texas Chainsaw. That
yeah, it's all that gritty original 1970s horror type feel. That at least that's what the artwork looks like. So
yeah, that's definitely the vibe that I got from it too. So, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
We got all 6 original. Now it's waiting game from what we can tell is going to be the remaining 4 houses are going to be the IP houses, and it's been an interesting start to announcement season for Halloween Horror Nights, between that video of that thing with the puddle with the reflection, and now we've gotten all 6 original announcements in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's just been a really bizarre, and everybody was loving it. The response online was overwhelmingly positive about, this every single day getting a new original. I don't think there were too many people upset.
Yeah, and in really, we got 4 houses left that are IP, and we're expecting one of them to be Universal, Universal Monsters house. And so I know it's an IP, but we really don't consider it an IP.
Semi-original content.
Because they keep coming up with original. We're assuming they're going to. Whether this is going to, that's always been the question: is this going to tie into Dark Universe?
Yeah,
Epic Universe.
Dark Universe.
Whether this is going to tie into because that whole land has its own backstory.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if this is be a neat way to introduce it. Well, whether they do that or not, I would hope.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll have to wait and see. So, alrighty, crew. I guess we can wrap it up. I don't have anything else unless you guys had something else. We can get on out of here and wrap this thing up. So, Janine, where can everybody follow you online? Did you want to plug anything? Instagram, anything?
Yeah, mostly doing things on Twitter, X, at Janine Brandt _ because the other one without the underscore was taken. You can watch me post memes and stupid theme park things.
Curse you, other Janine Brandt, no underscore.
Who's from Germany?
Oh, you found the account.
I found them.
How dare they? At Culture and Thrills, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky sometimes. Yeah, and of course YouTube.
And then as far as us, make sure you're following ThrillGeek on all of our major social media platforms. YouTube channel, youtube.com/ThrillGeek. And like I said, check out that article that I posted on ThrillGeek.com about the Universal, the Latin America monsters, that house. It's interesting reading. It'll give you some backstory about these monsters.
And definitely make sure you're following us over the next 2 weeks. We will be having a lot busy, lots of stuff the next 2 weeks on all our social media channels. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Not just.
Make sure you're following us everywhere and anywhere you can follow ThrillGeek, because we're, like Barry was saying, we're gonna have a lot of stuff.
We're about to be busy for about 7 days straight.
But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks again for listening. And as always, if you guys listen to us on Apple Podcast,
Cod Pass.
Cod Pass. It's a new thing, Cod Pass. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. It'll help us out, get our rating back up. We greatly appreciate that, as always. Thanks again, guys, for listening. We appreciate you guys. So we'll see you guys maybe in 2 weeks. I don't know. We'll figure out this crazy schedule that Barry was saying. It's going to be a crazy next 2 weeks. So we will probably definitely have another episode out in 2 weeks. So
yeah,
and definitely.
We might be dropping some bonus episodes too.
Yeah.
Here or there.
So anyways, guys, take care, be safe, and we will see you guys next time.
See you in the park.
Bye, guys.
Stay safe.